Welcome back, everyone, to the Rangers Review. We are here to discuss St Mirren 2, Rangers 2, the 14th time. Chris Jack, I believe that Rangers have dropped points in 34 Scottish Premiership games this season. Another continuation of I think you put it well yourself in one of the tweets you put out after the match, an example, evidence of why this side are not in a title challenge heading into the final few games of the season. Rangers twice established a lead. Cyril Dessers scored. Nico Raskin put them back in front shortly after the break. But St Mirren twice as well pegged back the visitors to take a point. Chris, how many videos have we done where I've said this is just a continuation of what we've seen this season? What do you make of it overall? How did you see the game?
I think out of all the stats that you have produced over the course of the season, and safe to say there has been many, that is perhaps one of the most damning ones for this Rangers side. To play that number of games, to drop points in that number of games, to be that number of points behind, to be behind Celtic, obviously on the day that the title was officially done. I think we might have said leaving Tynecastle at the start of the season that Rangers were not going to win the title. And we have seen nothing to suggest otherwise, obviously, in the weeks that followed, and they are where they are. They are not equipped for Scottish football. Though we have seen some big European performances. They did very well in that competition. Domestically, they are nowhere near it. I think you summed it up well in your analysis piece on the site. They don't have enough control. They don't carry enough threat. And they make really, really basic defensive errors. We spoke pre-match about Barrie saying a couple of weeks ago he knows the way that this team have to play between now and the end of the season. He went with a more defensive-minded setup once again. It's another game they've lost 2 goals, another game they could have conceded more than 2 goals, and I said nowhere near good enough on any level.
Yeah, I think it's the 8th time that Rangers have conceded 2 goals since Barrie Ferguson came into the job. And yeah, for me, Chris, the Celtic obviously won emphatically at Dundee United earlier, and I only caught a bit of that game downstairs here in St Mirren's press room. But if you take it back to 2021, right, and we can speak about the game in detail, but I don't think there's too much to learn. If you take it back to 2021, if you'd said to people then Rangers are only going to win 2 trophies out of the next available 12, you'd have probably been laughed at that point because of how dominant Rangers had been that season. Since that point, Celtic have largely played in one style of play. Players know their roles. They're pretty rehearsed. Daizen Maeda knows when he crosses the ball from a certain angle that his winger on the far side is going to be in a particular position. How many new ideas and different styles of play and different voices have Rangers had in that same intervening 4-year period? Barrie Ferguson, as you said, alluded to a more attritional style after that Hibs game. Speaking in his press conference here today about half an hour ago, he said he was so frustrated, and I'm watching him in the dugout, Chris, it was the most frustrated I've seen him. He explained the reason for that was that they'd spoken in the week the team about playing quickly and trying to beat the St Mirren press, but that, and it did work for a couple of the goals, but aside from that, he felt that the instructions weren't carried out effectively enough. But Rangers are a team to me who have relied on moments all season, and that is continually come back to bite them, and they've not controlled games with the ball. That's what I always feel like I come back to in these discussions. They don't control games with the ball, which leads to them effectively lacking control, and that was just another outing in that today, especially because they did twice get themselves into the lead. And I know it wasn't a game that it didn't count for anything, but Ferguson said yesterday, he spoke about getting the job, he spoke about wanting to get 15 points out of 15. That wasn't the afternoon he'd have envisioned.
No, and he also spoke, as he has done the last couple of weeks, he mentioned again post-match about players playing for their future. That's not a performance from a lot of these guys that say there's a new manager watching, there's a new director of football watching, there's a new boardroom watching. I definitely want to be at this club. This is what I can produce. It was, as I said there, it was really, really poor stuff once again from Rangers. But it's not a surprise. Not how many times have we either done these videos or we've spoken during the week and we've spoken at press conferences. You feel like we are repeating ourselves, but that's because we are repeating ourselves because Rangers keep producing performances of the same style with the same failings and ultimately getting the same outcomes more often than not. There is only so much you can say about this side. And I think over the course of the season, we're more than giving them the criticism that they deserve. Now, Barry spoke again there about there will be changes come the summer. There is no level of change that can be enough for a lot of these fans now. They've seen enough. If the 49ers and Andrew Kavanagh were to come in and say to the director of football, say to the manager, go and do whatever you want to this squad, money is no object, fans would back it. They are fed up seeing same players make the same mistakes, the same outcomes, and Rangers find themselves back in a situation that, as you say, since 21, they've ended up in that situation far too regularly.
Yeah, Barry Ferguson was just speaking in the press conference. You can watch that or read that in full across our sites. I'll play a short clip of what he had to say towards the tail end of the performance about Rangers' lack of aura, in particular when they go away from home in the Scottish Premiership.
The issue I've got is, people don't fear playing Rangers now. Whether that's at home or away, they enjoy coming to Ibrox teams. And then when you go away from home, teams look if they can bully you, run hard on you, get in about you. And that's something that again needs to change going forward. You need to build a strong team domestically. And I'm sure whoever takes the job will hopefully totally understand that.
Hard to disagree, Chris, that teams don't fear playing Rangers, and I guess the question is why is that the case, and what's led them to that point? I know you've just listened to. I was at Barry Ferguson's press conference. You've listened to it back in your humble abode. What did you make of what he had to say? Because he was critical, but he was also, I guess, trying to explain, as I mentioned a minute ago, why he was so frustrated, because he feels like the instructions that maybe he is given to his team aren't quite being carried out. Wherever that breakdown is, it's not totally owing to him. However, equally, we did say pre-match, you look at that team today, I just thought there was too many defensive profiles in it. You know, I thought there was too many, Rangers had too many players behind the ball, not maybe enough to link play. I don't think that's really Diamante's game. Rice and Raskin probably are best two performers in the day. A lot of shaky moments defensively. That back five domestically probably isn't going to be something we see too much going forward. But what do you make of that comment in particular about teams not fearing Rangers? It's obvious, isn't it? You can see it week in, week out, and that is again, that underpins why they're in this situation with no Premiership titles to even fight for in the final few games of the campaign.
Once again, I find myself agreeing with quite a lot that Barry has said. Now, sometimes in this job, you watch a game, you write about the game, you go and you listen to a manager, and you wonder if we've just sat and lived through the same hour and a half. There was a few moments like that under Clement earlier on in this season. I have to say, I think since Barry has come in, he certainly called it honestly. He's calling it from the heart. This side is everything that is wrong with a Rangers side. This side is not what Barry Ferguson stood for as a Rangers player, as a Rangers captain. It's not what he wants to stand for as a Rangers manager. Unfortunately, this is the situation that he has inherited as Rangers manager. He's got a squad that's short on quality. I think he's got a squad that's certainly short on mentality. This is not a Rangers squad in Barry Ferguson's image. This is not a Rangers squad that he would pick as a Rangers squad. It's the one that he's got. Is he getting the best out of them? I think that you mentioned some of the tactical points there, some of the selections that he's made, certainly domestically. I think you could say Barry's not getting the best out of what he has got. But who else could, in the circumstances, who else would want to in those circumstances? I think overall it's not been good. The results and performances have not been good enough under Ferguson. But when that time comes for him to sit down with Kevin Thelwell, as he spoke about yesterday, I'm sure the new manager would like a coffee and a bit of lunch at some point as well. He will make it clear to whoever is in charge at this club heading into next summer, this is not good enough. What we have seen season after season is not good enough. I might not be the man to fix it, but here's how you can fix it. And as I said a couple of weeks ago, I think that could be his kind of parting gift, if you like, his legacy from whatever this situation that Rangers are in right now. if Barry can put that across to people and make them really understand what this club is all about and what it needs, I think he will have had a part to play. Not a big part, obviously, because he's not going to be the manager going forward, but he can almost like pass something on to the next iteration of this squad.
Yeah. Anything else stand out to you, Chris? I mean, we could go and have a whole conversation about lack of club DNA and where that comes from, and changing managers' ideas, but people have watched that enough.
Save that for during the week. We've got 5 days to fill before we can look ahead to the Celtic game. So I think the only thing worth touching on, I thought the 2 goals were actually fairly nice finishes, Dessers and Raskin. I thought Nico's celebration was quite interesting. There wasn't really one. He looked quite an angry wee man when he scored. Just summing up the frustration of a season and a campaign that's really kind of got away from him. Apart from that, I don't think we really learned anything. But we said pre-match, we're not really going to learn anything because it's roughly the same group of players playing the same system. It feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. You look at Danilo needed minutes, Finlay Curtis needed minutes, Oscar Cortez needed minutes. We are 90 minutes closer to the end of the season, which I'm sure you'll agree is a blessing, but we've not really got anything to show for it.
Yeah, and I guess it'd be interesting to see. Ferguson is saying today players aren't carrying out instructions, and it'd be interesting to see if changes do come for the Celtic game. Does Danilo get a chance over Cyril Dessers? I know he scored today. Does Oscar Cortez get an opportunity? I don't think Diomande really suits that higher role. I thought it's worth mentioning Bailey Rice did well and in a really combative midfield. 18 years old, I think he did well, and you can see why Rangers want to keep him around and build around him in seasons moving forward. But aside from that, Chris, we will leave it there. A reminder, this video is brought to you by S1 Jobs. Head over to S1 Jobs if you're looking to hand in your own transfer request and upload your CV today. And do subscribe for free to our YouTube channel. Chris and Stevie have the talking point coming tomorrow, an interview as well with Robbie Fraser tomorrow. Chris, you caught up with the loanee left back who is very much chasing promotion with Livingston in the Championship.
He will be able to come back to Ibrox in the summer, and he'll have a medal tucked away in his pocket, and he will be the only one in that dressing room that's got a medal from this season tucked away in his pocket. Good to catch up with Robbie. I think he's had a really good impact at Livy, and that Championship season. I watched the Thistle Falkirk game last night. Looked like Scott Arfield was going to be the man to inspire Falkirk to promotion. Didn't quite go that way. So it's all set up for quite an entertaining Friday night. Certainly a more entertaining 90 minutes than we have seen from this Rangers side more often than not.
Yeah, you said it. We'll leave it there. Loads of content for you as ever on the Rangers Review. We'll be live on Monday morning with the morning briefing to kick off your week and talk all things Rangers if you can wait until then. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you for joining us. We'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.